Welcome back to another episode of Brick and Mortar Visibility. We have a very special guest today, and I'm going to keep this intro short as the interview went a little longer than I normally have, but it was really lovely and juicy, and there were some good nuggets in there, and I'm super excited for you to hear and see if you get what I got out of it. Before we dive in, as always, I want you to grab your latest social post because chances are you are doing some sort of social media, and bring it over to your Google business profile. What do I mean by that? You need to go grab my Google business profile workshop. This is my free workshop just for you that goes item by item what you need to do so that you can optimize this free tool that is given to us by Google. And so many business owners do not take advantage of this. You all worry about your Google reviews, but you don't do anything else. And we need to make sure we are updating that consistently and making sure it is optimized so people can find you. Yes, you can have a website, but if you are not hooked up to your Google business profile, you are not getting the most bang for your buck. All right. So please grab that free workshop. Go to MsMelissaRose.com/deals. You can grab my free workshop there, as well as any other offers that I have on the table at the moment. If you are wanting somebody to help you do the work, write the blog, create the social media, do the email campaigns, that is my thing. I love it. I like doing it. And I like making your business the only option in town. So if that is of interest to you, click the Work With Me tab. And you can set up just a free call and we can chit chat and see if working together is right for us. All right, we are going to dive into our conversation with Oie Dobier. Oie is a business coach. She helps solopreneurs and small business owners build their dream business by mastering the art of working on their business rather than always in it. She helps those business owners decide, commit, so that they can really succeed. And we share some stories. She talks through some things with me, which is super fun. And we learn one big thing that creates sales. And I think you will love it. All right, everybody, enjoy this conversation with the beautiful Oie Dobier.
You've put your blood, sweat, and tears into creating a storefront that lights you up, serves your clients well, and contributes significantly to the community you love. You are my hero, and I affectionately call you a rebel woman. Hey there, my name is Melissa Rose, a brick and mortar business owner with a handful of kiddos and a few passion projects that I head up like this one. I'm also your visibility coach and consultant for a service-based business like yours. I'm passionate about helping small business owners thrive in their community and become the only option in town for their industry. In this podcast, we're going to share the nitty-gritty of running a successful brick and mortar business by sharing stories, talking strategies, and learning practical tips to run a kick-ass business. Ready to be inspired, empowered, and equipped to create the small business of your dreams? Let's get real. Welcome, Oie Dobier, to the podcast. How are you?
I am fabulous. Thank you, Melissa, for having me today.
Yay! Thank you. So good to see you. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, she looks beautiful, and we're all gussied up and ready to go and ready to talk business. So, Miss Oie, tell us who you are, what you do, and who you serve.
All right. I am a business coach, and I serve solopreneurs and small business owners with coaching services.
Okay. Before we dive into all that, what did you want to be when you grew up?
This was a very interesting question. Quite frankly, I wanted to be someone smart. That was my MO as a kid. I don't know where that came from, but I thought about it. I'm like, yep, that drove a lot of my activities as far as what I did. Here's an example. I joined the math league because I'm like, oh, math league had smart people. Let's join the math league. I was the dumbest kid on the math league, Melissa.
But you were smart because you hung out with the smart people.
Yes, but I was not very good at math league.
Well, I did not have that inspired to be smart. However, I hung around the smart kids because I was smart enough to know that I remember going into like an AP physics class and the first day they gave you like a quiz. And I looked at it and I froze and I just quietly went up to the teacher and I go, I'm not meant to be in here. Thank you. And I walked out like I was a junior in high school. My friends were in there, but I was like, I don't belong in this class. I was so embarrassed. Okay, so you wanted to be smart.
Well, you are smart.
Yes.
You're a smart cookie. You're a business owner. You're crushing it. You're doing your thing and you're passing your knowledge on to others. This is awesome. So you want to be a business coach to serve solopreneurs. Is there a solopreneur that's like, those are my people, like an
Yes.
industry?
They're, well, not particularly an industry, but definitely a stage of growth that they're in and particular values. So let me talk about that real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
My ideal people are the people that they want to take their business to the next level, but they feel boxed in. And they feel boxed in because they're literally up to their eyeballs in work.
Mhm.
And they just are like, I do not have enough hours in the day. They also know that there's huge, huge potential for their business, but they're just kind of stuck because they're like, what do I do? They have very distinct qualities as far as things that they feel are important. First, they're quality crusaders. They are very passionate about delivering top-notch services. And they're not just interested in like hitting the mark, they're interested in exceeding it extensively. They also are in business not just because it's a transaction to them, it's they want to do something that enhances people's lives one way or the other. They also realize that they're hard workers, but they need, it's not about working harder, it's about I need to work smarter going forward. And they typically go beyond the call in whatever they do. And it could be due to they're a little bit of a perfectionist, or they're that kind of person that is very selfless and they just give. So they go beyond the call in that way. And then lastly, it all starts with family. Family is first for them. This is why they started their business, either to provide for their family and be present for their family. And so those are my people.
I love it. I love the quality crusaders. That's a great little, that's nice. Yes, all of that, all of that. The serving, most of us, okay, let's just rephrase. Most of the people that I hang out with are the people that are very generous. We want to help, we want to serve, we want to make somebody's life better. And sometimes that hinders the boundaries where the boundaries get overlapped with personal and business and time and all those things. So, okay, so out of those amazing qualities that you just gave, what is like the top one that like, okay, this is what I see the most, or this is where I help people the most, or if they could fix this thing, all the rest would fall into place. Like, what is that?
Well, quite frankly, it's about the decisioning and commitment to their decision, right? A lot of reasons why people aren't moving forward in their dreams is because one, they haven't quite made the decision on something that they are pondering in their mind, or they've made the decision, they haven't quite committed to it. Those are the two hindering factors in my mind. And I always notice people who are in this kind of stage is because they use the T word a lot. Melissa, do you know what the T word is?
Time.
Try.
Try. Okay.
I'm trying to do this. I'll try to do that, whatever. They use the T word a lot. And so whenever I hear that word a lot, it's a red flag to say, yep, they need to step back and they need to say, what is it that I haven't decided on that I need to decide on? Or maybe I made a decision on something and I haven't really committed for whatever reason.
Okay, I'm just thinking about stuff I'm doing. Huh. Okay.
So is there anything that you are trying to do, Melissa?
No, I'm doing it all. Freaking doing it all. I don't know if I say the word. It makes me think about trying. Like, am I trying? Yes. I spoke to my business. I was just thinking about it this morning. So let's do it. Super easy, super profitable, could be on autopilot if I wanted it. I'm choosing to launch it twice a year, but it could easily be something that's ongoing and kind of evergreen and behind the scenes. It blows my mind how I just say what it is and money comes to it. Like, it's so easy. Like, it's crazy. And I think part of my issue, and it works really nicely with marketing because I'm amplifying what other business are doing. So it's kind of like an introductory offer to work with me without really working with me. You kind of see how I'm supporting small businesses. I'm supporting the brick and mortar. I'm helping you get more visibility without this huge ticket. I don't love it, So then I think, why don't I just hire it out? That little bit I'm doing. Honestly, it's probably 5 hours a month. 5 hours a month. Okay. And I could hire that out so that I could still keep it going because it's a very nice spoke to the business. It works well with what I'm doing. It's a no-brainer offer for business owners, but if I have to execute it, it feels heavy. And there's very little to execute. It's just a matter of like, I think it's the business development of it too. That feels heavy because I'm introvert. So I have to be meeting these business owners and stuff like that. But, if I pace myself, I don't need to meet 5 business owners in a week. If I meet one a week and just consistently do that, that's where I have to do it. But as far as the execution side, I could hire that out. So that's where I'm like, I'm trying to do that. And I've done it now for 3 years. This project has been for 3 years. And I'm like, there's just a little bit momentum there. Like there's enough to like, okay. And if you stop, it's going to be done. Like you're not going to come back to it. But if you keep going, this could be a very, very nice passive income for the business. So that's where I'm just like, I feel like I'm trying it and not committed either way yet.
Right.
Because part of me is like, just put it to bed. You learn from it. But then if I came back 3 years from now, I'm like, gosh, what would it look like if I actually kept with that?
Right. Yeah.
Because there's projects in my life. We all have projects, right? Projects in our life that, gosh, if I would have stuck with that, where would I be now? And it's the nitty gritty of the daily of like, oh, this is kind of boring. This isn't getting traction as fast as I want and all that stuff. So,
right. That's a great example of exactly what I mean is you're still trying it out. And anytime you try it out, it's sucking your energy from something else. So you either got to commit to it, stop trying, and either say, you know what, nope, I need to focus my energy on something else. And the energy that I'm talking about is energy to really get it going. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do all the work, to your point, right? You could hire someone else to do the execution. But, do I really want to focus my time, energy, effort, thought process around this or not? And the try world is something that consumes our energy. So we need to get rid of those things and really either do or don't.
And I'm an opportunity person. Like I'm always like, okay, but we can make this, and then we could do this, and then it has and does pull away from the main tower, which is my brick and mortar, right? So, and there's been a season. If you've been on the podcast, if you've heard it on the podcast, this past fall was not fun for Ms. Melissa. So I had to put a lot of focus, time, energy back into my brick and mortar. And now I think we're kind of. I feel like we're back now. I feel we're back. Awesome. Okay, so this is good. Thank you for that. I love how the universe works. How that was on my mind this morning, and it got brought up right now. So thank you. And I have some ideas of how. Okay, all right, here we go. How are you finding your clients? Like this is visibility. It's a visibility client podcast. So what is your main source of visibility and getting out so people know who you are, what you do, and who you serve?
That's a great question. And I was actually just talking to my husband about that this morning. We have grand plans for other ways of visibility, but the surefire way for me is to attend networking events. The reason why that works for me is as a business coach, I really need to gain people's trust in order for them to hire me. Hiring a business coach is a very personal decision. You have to make sure you align personality wise. You have to trust that person, all those things. And so showing up in person is the first way that I do that. The hard part about that, Melissa, I know you're an introvert, so am I. So showing up to networking events on a consistent basis week after week is a very hard exercise for me.
Isn't it?
But I know it works.
Yeah.
And when I do it consistently, I consistently get new clients. So the other tactic for me around that is, on one side, I'm showing up consistently to these networking meetings, meeting with people one-on-one. And then on the other side of it is staying top of mind with my community, with my email list, with, my networking group. I belong to a weekly networking group, just being consistent and staying top of mind and adding value, staying top of mind by adding value to them. And it could be a few different ways, by offering nuggets of advice on something with business related or owning a business, or connecting them with other business owners that might be power partners, or opening up my customer list and saying, hey, you might be able to make one of my customers' lives easier. Tell me more about your services, right?
I love that, because it is, business ownership is like this great masterclass in self-development, right? And challenging us in the ways that we're like, sugar, I gotta leave my house. What? I gotta talk to people. I went to my daughter's hockey game last night. I didn't want to talk to anybody, so I didn't. I was talking to my sister on the phone, so I had to be off to the side. But then I went into the arena, and I saw some people I knew, but I just needed. I think part of it was the phone call, so I just needed to be by myself and just like texted my girlfriend that I did see. I'm like, sorry, I couldn't talk. I just needed some alone time, and I would hope that she knows me well enough that no problem. Melissa needs her time. But yeah, like I have to, it's a mental head game to go even once a month or whatever. I'm going to one this afternoon after we talk here, and like mentally set yourself up for it, and be intentional about connecting with somebody. Like not just show up, but be intentional about offering value. And for me, trying to connect with just one person, like just one person where you can take the conversation further. I love that.
Yes. Yeah. And actually, recently, I changed my thought process around that, because you're absolutely right. It's getting into that correct mindset to say, yes, I need to go to those events. And previously, I was very, one, I'm an introvert, so events are not that great for me. And two, I don't like to do sales, right? I'm not a salesperson. I'm a giver. And so I would have these anxious thoughts about, okay, I got to go show up to the networking meet with at least one person, try to, speak about my services, be all the things that I don't like to be. I start with humbleness, and talking about myself is not humble to me, right? And so what I've done recently to shift my mindset is, as you mentioned, is to say, you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to add value to whoever I meet. And that could be done in a variety of different ways. As a business coach, I do have a list of customers that need help in so many different ways. And so I'm listening for particular service providers that could help them, right?
Yes.
I'm also listening for business owners that may be a power partner to a different business owner that I met last week. And they serve the same customer base. So it'd be really great for them to connect and power together and serve complementary services. So ever since I did that, which is just recently, it makes going to networking events a lot easier for me.
Yeah.
Because I can go with the intention of give. And it serves its purpose, because the reason why I go to networking meetings is to just have people know I exist.
But you're going in with that mindset, and because of that mindset, and because of like that's how I go in. Like who can I meet to connect? I've always been that way. I've never been like, oh, I should be pitching myself, because that just doesn't come naturally to me. So I'm always like, oh, who do I know? Oh, you guys should meet. And so you said you don't want to be salesy, but sales is trust, right? So in order to gain that trust or that sale, you have to create trust, and that creates trust. So I think that's the way I choose to do it as well. Like just who I can connect with, or how can I help this client? Because I have clients too that need whatever help, or, oh, you should really talk to this person, or, oh my goodness. And then going in and giving value of like, well, here's like today, we're going to talk about email signatures at the networking meeting. As this is something I see that's not being optimized and not being taken care of and not being done right, in my opinion. And just take a gander. Just take a gander at that signature. We're going to talk about it next week on the podcast, y'all. So, yeah, going in with that, and trust equals sales. I'm just going to say that, right?
I like that. That's a really good point. I'm gonna write that down.
I'm going to write that down.
Sales.
Yeah, I like that too, because it really is. It's and trust only happens, at least for me, like that face to face, and talking about other stuff like family or goals or vacations, and not always just business. So speaking of that, what nitty gritty are you going through or challenging in your life that you're going, this is fun, with a capital F, as I like to say.
Capital F, but a 4-letter F, maybe.
No, it's just fun. I do it for my kids. I'm like, this exercise is super fun with a capital F, and they laugh.
The thing that I'm going through, and also my husband, is just really being parents of adult kids. We have 2 kids. Our oldest is almost 22, and our youngest is 18. So he just left the house, traveled to Florida, is going to school in Florida. And so that's a big deal. But being parents of adult kids, I thought this was going to be the easiest stage of parenting. And I'm finding very, very quickly, it is actually the hardest stage. And the reason why is because when they're kids, and we were blessed with very well-behaved kids. They're great, lovely, fun to be with. When they were little, while they had problems, we could help them. They listened to us. We did what we needed to do in order to make sure that they're healthy, happy, and safe, and all those things. But now that they're adults, all we can do is give suggestions. And most of the time, they're not going to do what we tell them, because, as you know, for personal growth, you just got to experience it on your own in order to learn those life lessons. And so when you, as a parent, when I give advice and they don't follow it, and they actually do the opposite of what I'm giving them, and then see how much pain they're in from a emotional, physical perspective, depending on what it is. Oh, Melissa, it is so hard. It's so hard. So hard.
I imagine.
So that's what
especially
I'm
when you
right
see
now.
you see it coming, and you go, sugar. And I'm sure I know I gave my parents gray hairs, because I know I was the same way. So like, you can't really tell me what to do. I got to figure it out the hard way. And but then I learn it, and I learn the hard way. I tend to do that a lot in my life. And that's okay. But it is hard to watch. When do you step in? That's what I'm struggling with, because I've raised very independent, strong children, and they're doing great things. For example, my firstborn is going to St. Thomas. She has her photography business, and she just posted. Now, keep in mind, I was like, is that real? Because I had to hold it back, because I need my glasses. And I was like, 23 weddings? 23 weddings? Wow. Ooh. So I'm like, and I just had to step in, and I'm direct, I'm blunt, and I just said, hey, honey, that's amazing. That's incredible. That's awesome. Just want to make sure you're going to have time to execute, because I know the wedding is one thing, but then you have all this other stuff. And I know it's not your first rodeo. You've done this before. So I just balancing that, and hopefully you're not waitressing and working at the coffee shop and doing this, and I hope that. But then another friend was like, okay, well, now she's making money. What about the scholarships? So they got to watch that balance too, of like, and just making sure you're saving for taxes. Just a little 30-minute box rice center, and just said, hey, just make sure you read Profit First.
I love Profit First.
And then if you need resources or help, I'm here. But I'm sure you have people in your back pocket. But I'm just I'm glad you're working hard. I'm so proud of you. But just, you don't ever want to be like, what? I owe this much, and what? I
Right.
lost my scholarship because I hustled my ass off, and now I don't get my scholarship because I made too much money. Like, I just interjected because if I didn't, I would be like, oh, somebody who knows better, and I love her. Sometimes that backfires because it's like, Mom, I know what I'm doing.
Yes. Well, my daughter's trained me. She's trained me. Here's when she calls, she's trained me well.
Yes.
So she calls and tells me, Mom, I need to talk to you about XYZ. And then she'll say it. And then I'll be like, about ready to go. And then I'll pause and go, wait. So first of all, what do you need from me?
Yeah.
Do you just want to vent, or do you need advice, or what? And so I'm starting to get better at that, to first understand why she called and what she needs from me versus assuming she needs advice all the time, because I've gotten in trouble with that a lot.
Yes, yes. Sophie has said, Mom, I just need to vent. And she's been very blunt like that. Or, Mom, I just need you to listen. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you. Now I know my role, and I will. And there are times I literally have to put my hands on my mouth and like, but yeah. And I know I have done that with people too, because I'm an audio processor. Like I just need to talk this out. I'm sorry, you're the lucky person that gets to listen. Okay. I don't need advice. I don't need to tell you. I just need to and yeah. So, and then sometimes so you know this, but people on the podcast may not. I tried business coaching and it pissed me off. I was just like, I can't do those open-ended questions so that somebody can get to the results. Right. And I tend to be like, no, this is what you should do. You need to do this. Why aren't you doing this? And come on. And that doesn't work very well. So I was like, yeah, this isn't working for me. I need to do something where I'm actually like concrete, black and white. This is what you need to do. And if you don't want to do it, I'll do it. Okay. I'm happy to do it for you. But yeah, business coaching is different. So I love that we didn't really talk a lot about business coaching. I love that we talked a little bit more about you as a human and what you do and who you serve, and why people choose business coaching. I just want to bring it back to your work. What is one thing that deciding factor for people like, you know what, I think it's time to invest in a business coach? Like, what questions are they asking themselves, or what are they feeling that they're like, you know what, I need to pull the trigger and do this?
I would say the number one thing that takes someone from wavering on a decision to actually deciding, quite frankly, is just too much. They've just had too much of whatever's going on and they can't take it anymore. And that's when they say, you know what? I need to hire someone to help me with this because I can't do it on my own anymore. And it's unfortunate that we have to wait until there's so much pain in order to move forward with something. But that's typically how people come to me. They're in so much pain in one way or the other that they're like, I can't do this on my own anymore.
Yeah. That's the way it was for me. I hit a point where I'm done. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of being sick of this. All right. What is one point in your business that you were like, I can do it. I can do anything. If I can do this, I can do anything.
Well, it hasn't had to do with my business. Is that okay if I give that point?
Yes, of course.
Is when I decided to run a marathon.
Oh,
yes. I hung out with, we have friends that are very athletic and they run marathons and Ironmans and mountain bike races and all that stuff. And I'm going to tell you, it's contagious. And so after a couple years of hanging out with them, and then my husband did a marathon and I watched everybody do their thing, I'm like, you know what? I think I can do this. And so I signed up for Grandma's Marathon one year. This is, I don't know, 20 years ago. And I decided I was going to do it. Again, made a decision to do it. I committed by signing up for a marathon training class. And then I realized, then I really, really committed when I realized, you know what? I could totally run 26.2 miles, because when you run a marathon, there are water stations every 3 to 4 miles. And so I can run to 3 to 4 miles. I just need to run to the next water station and rest for a couple minutes drink some water, have some, energy, and then run to the next water station. And when I did that, Melissa, I realized I can do anything.
Yeah. Awesome. I love that because I similar to you, I was the only sibling that hasn't run a marathon, and I was like, hell no, I don't need to do that. And then you watch them, it's inspiring. It's like, wow, that's kind of cool. And like, I don't even run. And then life happened and I started running and I was like, I kind of need a goal. And then got a running buddy. And before I knew it, we signed up for grandma's as well and had that, Twin Cities. And it was amazing. It was amazing. And you
Right.
get across that finish line and you're like, I can do that. If I can do that. And it's just that next step. Okay, let's just get to the next thing, just the next thing. And before you know it, 26.2, 200 podcasts, clients like you, like, oh my God. Well, you don't act like it or seem like it or carry yourself like it at all. You do great. And you are very trustworthy. That is a strength for its strength. You have a beautiful presence, very openness, very generous. If you ever get to meet Oie, go introduce yourself. And then you have this fun lifestyle. Can you just touch on that real quick? Because that's what's really fun too.
Sure. So we had a 5-year plan 5 years ago that we're going to start traveling the United States in an RV. So we bought a camper van a couple years ago and it was completely empty. My husband's been building it out. Now it's a full camper van with all the perks. It's got solar. We can power ourselves. We can go out in the middle of nowhere and survive for a couple days on our own. And we've been starting to travel the United States and really do fun things. Check out all the national parks is our goal. Hit the top 50 restaurants in the New York Times list and really just embrace what's it like to live in the U.S. in these different states. Because I've been in Minnesota most of my life. I mean, I was born in Thailand, but then came here when I was 5, and I've lived in Minnesota ever since then. So I'm anxious to experience what it's like to live in different states.
Yeah, very cool. It's so fun. So follow her on social because she shares her journeys there, which is really fun. So awesome. Oi, thank you so much for being part of the podcast. Can you tell everybody where to best find you if they're interested in learning more about your services?
Yes, please go to my website, which is at www.bloomdocking.com.
All right. That's all in the show notes as well. So just click there. And everybody, thank you so much for being part of the Brick and Mortar Visibility Podcast. We will see you here, same time, same place next week. Peace. Bye-bye.